And we are live.
So we're missing
Rebecca.
Missing Rebecca and
Corey.
Corey, yeah.
Hopefully they'll hop on.
And there's Alan. Hey, Alan. Finally get to see you.
Yeah.
This has got to be what, the 30th convention you've chaired for MileHiCon, Linda? I tried to count it all up once.
My first one was number 15. So,
right. But I know you didn't chair all of them in between there, because I know Rose chaired one. And...
No, I did.
Did you? Okay.
So I guess I'm at 32. So no, wait a minute, 15. No, I'm at 17. I've done 17. No, that's right. I've done 36, I guess. Yeah, a lot. Let's put it that way. A lot. I'm a total crazy person. I get onto something and I can't let it go.
Yeah, I was doing the math, and if I'm going to maintain as long of a program director position as Rose, I will retire when I'm 70.
Yeah, well, see, that's why I'm trying to train Christine.
Yep.
So.
Continuity.
Yeah. So next year I'm going to put her in charge of marketing. Ooh, that'll be a new thing for her. She's never done that before.
Well, we're all here to help her.
Yes.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Meg Ward, Programming Director for MileHiCon. I'm pleased to welcome you all to our closing ceremonies and guest of honor remarks. We have with us Steve Resnick-Tem, our Toastmaster, Alan Pollock, our Artist Guest of Honor, Mara Lafferty, Author Guest of Honor, and the woman who makes sure everything gets done, Linda Nelson, our Convention Chair. Linda, did you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Okay, numbers, because I'm the numbers person. Got to make sure those numbers are good to keep us going. As of this morning, we had 403 people that had signed on to the website. So that makes me happy, because my original goal when we first started this virtual project was 200. So we're way past that. I would have been a happy camper with 200. So we got twice that. And we've already got about 30 some people signed up for next year. So if you haven't signed up for next year, you can still do that. You can go to the registration tab on the site, go down to the MileHiCon 53 registration and sign up. Get it now at the best price you can. And let's see, we've had like over 120 programs over the weekend, which originally when we were talking about setting this up, I know Meg was saying she wanted about 50. I remember her saying, well, if we can have about 50, that'll be good. So we're way over on that. We're just all a bunch of overachievers here. And we had like a little bit over 90 participating authors, artists, and speakers, which is only it's about 70% of what our live convention usually is. And now the 120 programs is about 50% of what our live show usually is. So on Friday, even with all of our problems of our server going down and so on and so forth, we were still able to run the program with our genius programming people and Zoom people and everybody able to get it switched over to go directly through Discord. And so we still had like an average of 47 people per program item showing up on Friday. On Saturday, after everything came back up, Then we had an average of 57 people per program item, and today is is somewhere in the 40s because we're not done yet. So it was somewhere in the 40s. So all in all, we are doing better than we originally had even planned. And so we're all really happy, and there hasn't been any, other than the server going down on Friday. That's the biggest problem we've had. We haven't really had any other big problems. So it's all in all, it's been a good experiment for us, and another little bee in our bonnet that we can add to the MileHiCon experience.
Absolutely. And don't forget that we are recording panels and uploading them to YouTube as
Yep.
fast as their algorithms will allow us to.
Yep.
Everything should be up in full no later than Wednesday, though.
Yeah, we'll leave the that all up for a long time. I figure we can probably even leave the website up for the next week or two. And even Discord, I think we could even leave Discord up for a week or two, because there's a lot of links in Discord that people might want to go back and try to track down and stuff, because people are putting links to their books and links to their sites and all kinds of stuff. So we can leave that up for a few weeks too for people.
Great. I think we'll go alphabetical order. So, Alan, you're up.
Oh. Well, we could have went by the last name and then I would have been near the end. Actually, I would have been last. So that's good. Well, I appreciate being asked to be guest of honor, artist guest of honor. It was a pleasure to meet all the people that I met. And overall, it was a good experience. People chimed in and asked questions, and the people on the panel were all great. And wish I could have seen everybody in person. I wish I could have come to Colorado. I've never been to Colorado, so someday. But overall, I mean, I think it was a good experience, and probably in the future it'll be incorporated somehow. The virtual thing will probably be incorporated in some way, I would think, even if it did go back to, full attendance kind of thing. But yeah, so I hope everybody got to see my art and came to my website and saw everything that was there, and hopefully picked up some prints or something along the way. And I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to leave it off to who's next to me. Steve, how about Steve?
Well, Mer's next because she.
Oh, Mer's next. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Well, like Alan said, I also have never been to Colorado and was really looking forward to that. So it's still kind of a bummer, but what I was really impressed with is you guys really pulled this off. It's got to be tough. I know you had a long lead time, but I remember the first one I went to in the spring, and I was stressed out, and there were technical problems, and there was issues getting in, and there was issues logging in, and I don't even know where the issues stood. So I'm not blaming the con, or maybe it was me, but it's like it was a very stressful situation that did not give me a good view of virtual cons. And this has been, I've done a couple since, and this has been the best one that I've had. So you guys are doing a great job. And I think another thing that's really good is all of the participants and audience members are also really rolling with it. It's like there's not a lot of just looking around going, this is awful. Pandemic is just killing us. Well, it is, but you know what I mean, metaphorically. But it's everyone seemed to be handling it well. Audience, panelists, you guys, and it was very seamless, and I really appreciate that. I had a great time too. Met some really cool people, both panelists and audience members. Yeah, and for having one of the best parts taken away from this opportunity, it was still just a fantastic experience.
Great.
Well, I also had a wonderful time. This is this was my first time being a Toastmaster, and it was maybe it's easier because it was remote. I don't know, but I found it really interesting, and I also thought that despite those technical difficulties on Friday, this went unusually smooth, much smoother than I expected. I haven't done too many conferences virtually, but I know this year I attended a graduation ceremony at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I also attended a conference on climate restoration. And I think this one is when it's smoothly or smoother than either one of those. I think the setup was quite good. I think this weekend I kind of overdid it with the virtual experience. It's probably the most virtual weekend I've ever experienced or ever will. Besides this convention, I also was trying to catch various sessions of a plot summit writing conference is being held. Also, the World Fantasy Convention is starting next weekend, and they've been having practice sessions all weekend. So I was trying to get set up for that. They're using something called Crowd Compass, which I'd never heard of before. So there's another learning curve there. This is also the weekend that the virtual Denver International Film Festival started. And yeah, for that they provide a Denver Film app, which I put on my Apple TV box, and I can order the films right on that and watch them. So it's been a interesting but kind of exhausting kind of experience, I guess. One concern I have, I guess overall, not about this conference, but about virtual conferences in general, is I spent 35 years in the software industry. So I'm pretty good at figuring things out that I'm unfamiliar with. But I have friends my age and older who really struggle with this stuff, especially when the interfaces aren't standardized and each outfit does something a little bit differently for these conferences. So I would hope that in the future, maybe these things can be standardized somehow across conferences. At least having it in Zoom helps some, but usually people have some other process you have to go through, a registration process or this distribution process that uses Zoom that's different. So I think if we could smooth that out a little bit, maybe we could leave fewer people disenfranchised by this kind of technology. Just a thought there, but anyway, congratulations. I think you guys did a wonderful job under the circumstances. Certainly was a really interesting conference.
So Mick, have you been able to get a hold of Corey or Rebecca?
I have not now,
Okay.
unfortunately.
There's
Oh,
Rebecca.
there's Rebecca.
Hey, yay.
Hello. I'm once again late, but I'm here. Hi. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're up actually to speak if you would like.
Oh, I don't know that I have anything to say, so I will pass. I'm actually shocked that anybody's here because the Broncos are playing and it's snowy there in Denver, and I just, thought everybody would be focused on the football. But I might think of something to say in a few minutes, but
We're talking science fiction fans, not as high a percentage of football people here.
That's probably
I'm a football
true.
person.
I am too. So yeah, but I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm just sad.
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, how has the convention worked for you? Has it worked for you, or did you have problems or anything?
No, I had a great time. I had a reading and some folks showed up, and I had a coffee clutch today, and we had actually a lovely conversation. I haven't had any technical problems. I got to know some fans. We talked, in-depth writing and, sort of what it was like to get into publishing and all sorts of good stuff. So I've had a lovely time. Thank you.
No, we're really glad to hear that. I was a Zoom host on your reading and I particularly enjoyed it. Although I
Oh,
ended
good.
up having to mute it briefly because of the gory bits.
I did give a content warning.
You did give a content warning. It's fine. I'm quick on the mute on my computer.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I know, Linda, you mentioned registration for next year for
Yeah,
October 22nd through 24th. So just
correct.
slightly off
Correct.
from this.
Yeah. And I don't have any guests of honor lined up yet. Everybody I've contacted so far has been hesitant to commit at this time because of COVID. The only one I've got a real super loose tentative on is John Scalzi. And he said that totally depends upon his publisher because he has a book coming. His next book is coming out in October of next year. And I told him, I said, tell your publisher, MileHiCon is the largest literary science fiction convention in all of Colorado and actually most of the Rocky Mountains. So this would be the perfect target market for your publisher. So he said he's going to tell them that to try to get us on his list. So I'm crossing my fingers that we can get Jonna here.
And if any of you are close with him and want to put in a good word for us, that's much appreciated.
Yeah, really.
I actually have an event with him this week, so I will hit him up on your behalf.
Okay,
Much
that's
appreciated.
great. That's great.
No, I've chatted with him in email, and I know it is largely just a scheduling issue for him. He's got
Yeah.
nothing against Denver or the convention. He's heard really good things about us. I know, Linda, we're not handing out our traditional awards.
Yeah, well, there's no way to, just hand
Pass
them
them
out to
through the-
people,
yes.
pass them through, yeah. So, things are this is just a different, strange, weird year. There's lots of things we didn't do this year that we usually do. And it has seemed weird. That the really strange thing, I was thinking about this just last night. At first, I thought on Friday when everything went bonkers early on, I was just continuously nonstop typing out answers to everybody's questions of what was going on. It was nonstop from 9:30 till about 12:30 before it started slowing down. And after I thought about this for a while, it's like, that's no different from a regular live show because that's what happens in a live show. I'm running from one end of the hotel to the other end of the hotel, fixing little problems, answering questions, doing so. It's the same kind of thing. It really wasn't any different. I was just typing all the answers instead of going and talking to people about all the answers. So it was about the same thing. And then usually by Friday afternoon, everything calms down. And then the rest of the convention is fine. It's just the startup that becomes an issue every year. Well, do we have some questions from people? We got some chats.
We had a question about the clutches, which I noted we did not record those. Like I said, the remainder of the videos should all be up by Wednesday. I'm slowly getting emails trickling in as panels finish. We also, at 4:30, also in Asgard, we have an Orchids and Onions session. Please come tell us what worked well and what didn't, so we know for next year. Especially since I personally feel online portions of conventions are going to become a thing going forward. It's been really great. We've had people everywhere from East Coast to West Coast, as far away as Ireland and the UK. It's been really nice. And Somtao from Thailand. It's been nice to have a more global audience available and for them to be able to see our guests and to hear our panels.
Yeah, we've had nothing but compliments from people. Of all this, the whole weekend, I've gotten one complaint, just one. So that's pretty flippin' good. I was figuring I was going to get inundated, especially after Friday when things went down. But I guess because our geniuses were able to get things back up and running through Discord really quickly, it all worked out.
So do you know if most of the conventions that are going to be going on next year are going to be planning on doing a regular traditional convention, or are they all planning on going virtual?
Everybody I've heard from, and I'm not saying that's very many, it's only the local people, are planning live.
Okay,
I mean, we may be lucky because we won't be until October. So we may be
right.
lucky. Like we were lucky with this. Like Mira was saying, some of the early spring conventions, I went to a couple of those. Yeah, they were pretty poorly run. And I've had all my people going to different virtual conventions throughout the year, so we could basically learn what was good, what was bad.
Hmm.
And so we've piled all that stuff together to try to take the good and put out the bad stuff and to have the best one that we could have. And so I feel like you guys are saying, ours has gone pretty well, but I think that's because we had enough time to learn. So I feel sorry for those earlier conventions who literally had like a few weeks to put it together. And if you look at it from that standpoint, that was probably pretty flipping good.
Yeah.
So I'm starting, the things I'm starting to hear though, I'm getting worried about some of our local early conventions. There's usually a couple in March. I'm starting to worry for them. I mean, these are like personal friends of mine, and so I'm starting to get worried for them because then that would be like 2 years in a row for them.
Yeah.
And they just canceled. They didn't even try to do a convention. So I don't know if they tried to do a virtual one or not. But I'm planning a live because I'm hoping everything will be good by then. But I've already told people, if we're forced to go virtual, at least now we know what to do.
Yeah.
And we've already got ideas on how to make things better if we have to go totally virtual. But like Meg was saying, we're probably going to continue to have some aspect of our conventions from now on, have a little piece of virtual going on.
Now, I'm part of some of you, I know some of you are familiar with the term SMOF, Secret Masters of Fandom. We have a Journeyman SMOF group on Facebook. It's all of us who are mere babies in the terms of running conventions, and the discussions we've been having indicate nobody's expecting live conventions before next summer and probably next fall, which is unfortunate. But nobody wants to take the health risk for themselves or for their guests of honor or their attendees.
Yeah, but what's going to happen is that, if that's the case, I mean, the fall and the winter is when the cases tend to rise. So if they're going to wait till the fall, how far into the fall are they going to get?
It sounds pretty realistic, I think.
Yeah, I think the hope from people is that we will have a solid vaccine and enough supplies available by then.
Hopefully.
But, obviously, I personally plan to just take up mask wearing in public permanently. I'm collecting quite a few of them. We even have lovely MileHiCon 52 masks available on Redbubble. And, hand sanitizing stations and everything else, and we'll do the best we can.
I have some on my Society 6 page with my art on it.
I will check that out.
Yeah.
Society 6 / Alan Pollock. There's a bunch. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like when I was doing some Ubering. I live near Ithaca, New York, and I was doing some Ubering up around Cornell, and a lot of the foreign students that were up there were wearing masks way before the pandemic. Whenever they would get sick, they would be walking around with masks on. So obviously in other countries, they're used to doing this, but we are not. So it seems to be a big hassle for some people, but it's like really not that big of a deal.
I think with a lot of the Asian cultures, that's pretty common to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't get to see too many of the other events that went on over the weekend. How were they run as far as, like, I know at the panels that I was on, I didn't really get to see any of the attendees. I saw just the panelists. So is that just because I didn't have my system set up correctly, or is there no way to see the attendees?
No, we have these set up as webinars, so the only people on video are the panelists.
Right.
The coffee clutches were traditional Zoom meetings. We are planning on throwing up a dead dog later, so if you have time and want to drop in and see some faces, we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we felt like if you had like 100 little teeny faces on the screen, that would be kind of confusing. And then with so
Well,
many people
yeah.
trying to talk at the same time, it would just be a madhouse. So that's why we decided to have all the live panels as webinars to where just the panelists can speak and everybody else is watching. But we do have question and answers, so they can ask questions and we can decide to, you know, answer them or not. And there's people making chat comments right now. So
Sorry, I'm just answering somebody.
and actually having the webinar idea was kind of one of the things we learned from the early virtual conventions. When you get too
Yeah.
many people, it just becomes crazy.
And then how were the movies run? Were the movies were on, I tried to access it through my phone, but it said I had to go to a desktop to do it. My computer is not functioning very well. So I guess what was that through, what
It
was
was
that through,
through
some sort of different app?
Netflix. It was through
Oh, okay.
Netflix. And it was a watch parties through Netflix.
Gotcha. And did you
We
have to
only-
like plug in some sort of a code or something to see it, or anybody could see it?
They had it linked up, and I don't know all the technical stuff on how they had it linked up, but they had it worked out. Yeah, there we go. There's a MileHiCon 52 mask.
I happen to have one within reach that my wife could grab for me.
So, but yeah, so they had it. They had a couple little technical difficulties, but they finally got them worked out, and it worked out just fine for the movies. And usually we have a full complement. We have a whole video room with continuous movies going on. So only having a couple, 3 each day was a really, you know, lower schedule than we usually have.
Yeah.
But it seemed to work out fine.
Any other questions, comments from our audience? Please feel free to speak up, raise your hand, add it to Q&A, stick it in chat.
Oh, someone asked what we're doing creatively in the year to come.
Oh, there we go. Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, I just have a new novel out, so let me constantly plug it since I'm here, and so it's so subtly arranged behind me. But Black Sun is my latest work. It just came out on the 13th, so it is brand new. And I know that there are book plates, right, that we sent in that you can purchase a copy from
Book Bar Denver.
Book Bar Denver, so you can get like a signed copy with a book plate. But it's a big, sprawling, epic fantasy inspired by the civilizations of pre-Columbian Americas. So feel free to pick it up. I'm shameless. I gotta sell, man.
Hey, that's what you got to do.
That's
It's a
right.
tough year out there, yeah. So
I
So
started
certainly.
it. I started it. It's quite good.
oh well, thank you. I
I'm
appreciate
anxious to
that.
finish it.
I don't really have much to say except that I'm working on like a secret project that I can't really talk too much about. And so working on that and just some personal pieces for myself, but that's about it. So you guys can take over.
I've got a go ahead, Steve.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I've got a murder mystery I'm working on, but we don't have a release date yet, so I can't tell you if it's in the year to come or not. But that and a couple things I can't talk about. That's about it.
Yeah, well, I have three things I can't talk about.
Publishing.
One's a comic book project. I'm negotiating for 2 more short story collections. Other than that, I think it may be time for me to start working on my climate change novel, which I've been putting off. Most people know me for horror fiction, but every year or so I write some science fiction. I've published probably 30 or 40 science fiction stories. And my last novel, U-Boat, which is a blend of horror and science fiction. So I love science fiction, so I like to do another one. So we'll see maybe if I can finish that this next year.
Oh, and Steve reminded me I should be talking up this too. Next month, November, Marvel is releasing a special issue of Indigenous Voices. So I am part of that, along with folks like Stephen Graham Jones and Darcy Little Badger. We have taken on existing Marvel characters that are Native and Indigenous and written one-shot short stories for them, along with Native artists illustrating. So that should be pretty cool. It has this really awesome Marvel trailer out there if you go to the Marvel website. And that will be out everywhere comics are sold in November.
Right.
Great. We had a question from the audience. What was everyone's favorite program this year?
Well, I always love the Year in Science. I think that's pretty much always my favorite panel. So I guess that would be mine.
I had a panel on creative couples. That was pretty funny. I enjoyed doing that one.
I think I learned a lot on the writing real fight scenes versus fake fight scenes. I hope I contributed to it as well, but I learned a lot too.
Yeah, probably my epic fantasy panel. That was pretty interesting. There were some folks new to me, but who are sort of icons in the field. So hearing their opinions on epic fantasy was definitely interesting, and I got a chance to shout out some of the newer people writing epic fantasy that maybe a lot of people don't know about. Who are really starting to change the field and the look of what epic fantasy can be. So just really exciting about the future of science fiction and fantasy.
Everybody? Sorry. Yes, you've all said. I apologize. It is the end of a very long convention weekend, and I have been on Zoom all over the place. I think this one's probably for you, Linda. Has MileHiCon considered branching out and having more virtual conventions events in the future?
You mean like have a MileHiCon spring and a MileHiCon fall or something? No, we have never thought about doing that, but we are thinking about having a virtual aspect to MileHiCon for the future. So it would not be all programs, but there might be some programs that would be virtually available. We just don't have the budget or the manpower to do all programs. And but we've been discussing these possibilities. And so there probably will be some virtual aspects in it in the future.
No, and to the point of Joe, who just commented, certainly as programming director, I am open to working with local authors and setting up readings throughout the year. Uh-oh, did we lose you, Rebecca?
What are you doing?
Sounds like a pet. I've been very lucky. My cats have not bothered me just once. Have not bothered me once, knock on wood. Any other questions, thoughts?
No, a bad dog.
Looks like we've got one more Q&A. Oh, just a thank you. Dear Linda, I really like the material on YouTube. I slept through some things and watched them on YouTube. Thank you.
Well, I'll say I'm going to have myself, running this thing. I never had time. I was bebopping around on programs. I never got to see more than 5 minutes of any program. So I am planning on going back and watching them all later on YouTube.
No.
I'm gonna run. I don't know how you guys are gonna wrap up, but I have a dog incident.
No,
So-
please go right ahead. I think we're about done.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was lovely to meet so many of you and to see familiar faces again. And I look forward to next year.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you,
Take care,
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Good luck with the dog.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank-
So I think that does wrap us. Again, please join us at the Orchids and Onions session with any ideas you might have. Thank you to all of our guests of honor. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you this weekend. And thank you, Linda. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.